Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us again today. I'm bringing you another lovely person from a different country, all the way from England. We're talking on the topic today of mastering your energy field to master your life, which I thought was a fabulous subject to talk about for both your personal and professional life. And so joining us today is Martina Coogan. Welcome, Martina.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on your guest today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And it's very interesting what you do. And listeners, Martina is known as a metaphysical monarch. So again, some interesting questions we need to ask Martina. And she's got lots of very interesting types of services that she offers you on her website. So I thought, let's ask her all about it. So Martina, do you want to give the listeners a little bit more of context and a bit more of your story to them?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. So for the past 20 years, I have been an experienced teacher leading ancient mystery school healings and tools of power that help you as the individual to balance yourself, to sustain yourself, and to bring you into that essence, power, and true harmony, the vitality of who you truly are. And as entrepreneurs, we're always on. There's no off time. So we need to be always on, both in our the opportunity to see something in our personal lives and in our business lives. Everything is on 24/7. So for us, it's hugely important that we are always in balance, in alignment, and that we can sense and perceive exactly what's happening, because generally entrepreneurs are doing them more than one thing at a time. Yeah. And many of us are solo, so we're keeping the balance within ourselves and out into the world at the same time. So for 20 years, I have been teaching and coaching people in how to do this for themselves and how to help others to sustain their lives the way they wanted, and to have the vibrancy, to have the energy, to have the sustainability for themselves.
Sustainability is a really good topic too for entrepreneurs, because typically we do a lot of burnouts. You know, the roller coaster for an entrepreneur in business compared to, say, big corporate business owners and managers, the roller coaster that we go on can be a lot of highs, very, very high, and then very low, and very quickly on that. It's a very up and down type of a ride compared to other sorts of rides where, okay, you can go high and low, but it's a little bit more undulating. It takes its time to get there. So when you're talking about sustainability, what does that really mean to us?
Yeah, well, just for myself personally, I worked in the corporate world and everything was in a system. We had, somebody who managed accounting and that was their specialty. We had somebody who managed the front end, that managed the administration, that managed all the different systems that are within a business itself, that sustain everything, that keeps everything going. And I did that. I was in that for several years when I worked as a case manager. And then I felt calling to do something else, to do something more. And I got into energy medicine, and then I became a solo entrepreneur. And then it's very easy to get excited and to get new leads and to get business opportunity. But then when you keep doing that, you have to sustain. And the sustainability comes from me, because everything is sourced from within me. My business, every doorway, every avenue, every department is held and sustained by me. So if I am off because I have an internal imbalance in my emotional, or I'm over mental, I'm overthinking, or if I'm simply worrying too much, I'm worrying because I don't have work, or I'm worrying because I have too much work. Because sometimes we have these, I say sometimes like I'm like a seasonal worker. There's a period and I have so much work. And then I have to, especially, you know, I think we can all relate to this now with lockdown, because the first, you know, 2 weeks of lockdown, to me, it felt like Christmas holidays, because it was like, oh, I get to do anything I want any time of the day. But then when I got to the third week, it was like, oh, okay, this isn't going to sustain me. I have to get a routine. I have to get a balance. I have to go back inside of me, and I've got to establish everything. I call it in a circular motion. So it's like a wheel. Everything has to be moving. And just like the wheel, if it's not going around in a cycle, if there's a hole in it, if there's a gap in it, if there's an opening in it, then it's going to fall, it's going to bump, it's going to go, it's going to roll off. So when I look at myself, I have to be able to sustain myself for me. And when I look at my business, I have to be able to sustain my business from my energy structure. And if anything is out of alignment, it's going to show up. And generally, my business partners, my business clients see that before I do, because we're going too fast to see the whole. So sustainability is huge, and it's crucial for long-term success, and it's crucial for us to stay in business, because if not, we bottom out, we burn out, and then we're out of business. And we can have the best ideas and we can have the best opportunities, but if we're not able to sustain ourselves and to sustain our business from ourselves, then we're out of business.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, with the whole sustainability, and I get where you're coming from, but I'm just sort of wanting to delve into this because there's a lot of people as to what they would probably think sustainability is, and they will understand what you're talking about, but it's also still to really understand it and to know its impact. A lot of people, when they think about sustainability, it can either be about systems and business, absolutely, and so that they're sustainable for business practices, and to have the both ends of the funnel working. So the top end of the funnel where the clients are coming into it and the sales, and all the systems that's throughout the neck of the funnel, and then at the bottom what's left over, and to continuously evolve over each of the years. And then a lot of people then go into, okay, so then as far as my energy is concerned, we'll then look at what's that's more of a physical type of expenditure of, well, then we'll look at what I eat and I drink and my sleep compared to what I exert in a physical way. And then a lot of people then tend to, with work and know about the ups and downs, and know the whole entrepreneurial journey is the emotions that are involved in that. But when you're with what you offer, there is all that plus more to help with healing. And then there's healing in a subconscious mindset as well as a conscious mindset, past issues, present issues. Perhaps do you want to try to bridge some of those gaps for people?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Because we wake up in the morning and we have a fresh new opportunity every day. And you can introduce me to amazing business opportunities. But if I have any past limitation, whether it is a conscious program or it is a subconscious, or it is a threaded experience that I'm still carrying, I can sabotage myself. The majority of my clients get in their own way. They're in their own way. They're stopping themselves. And that can be done in a subconscious or a conscious level, or it can be done in this hidden field of energy that I call. So we have our physical body, for example, and we have a spirit and a physical that is woven into that. And within that, we have systems. We have what's called the chakra system, and we have what's called the aura system. Now, every day of our lives, we have opportunities to learn, to grow, to experience. It can be very simple things. Somebody can say something to me that has a power and authority, like a parent, like a teacher, like a sibling. And I will anchor that maybe in my mental field, maybe in my emotional field. I can anchor it as a positive or a negative. If it's a positive, it's going to send me out there into the world. You know, my mother told me I'm the best. My father told me I'm always going to be successful. I might come in with that approach. I hear that echoing in my field. It's anchored in my chakra. It's anchored in my aura. But if it's the opposite, if somebody said, you know, like many times my clients will say to me, oh, okay, you know, maybe you are right, because my grandma, my mom, my dad, my teacher, whoever that authority figure said to me, you're never going to be successful. And that person then anchors that within them, and they come in with that, and they bring that into the business deal. They bring that into the relationship, and they sabotage themselves. And everything can be served, everything can be set up, but their energetic structure blocks them. It prevents them, it sabotages them, and it limits them. And we have to free ourselves from that. I always say to my clients, it's like I'm knitting a sweater and we drop a stitch. And we don't notice until we've gone a little bit that the stitch has dropped, but we've got to go back and pick it up from where the drop is. So when I work with the client, the first thing I do is, of course, I hear their request. And then I go back and I analyze from within their chakra system and their aura, because that's going to tell me if there's any breaks, if there's any drops, if there's anything sitting there that needs to get rewoven back in. And that's my specialty. That's what I help people do, so that they can complete that and present themselves whole, present themselves ready, available, in their power, in their strength, in their authentic self, to do what it is they actually want to accomplish. Because I want to do things and my mind says, I want to do this. I want to earn this amount. I want to live in this place. I want to marry this person. But then no matter what I do, I trip myself up. And that's what I help solve, that mystery of why is this tripping happening, and how am I going to fix that and reweave it back into the structure so everything is working and everything is sustaining itself. It's a free-flowing system. Children are excellent at this. When a 2-year-old, if you ever watch a 2.5, 3-year-old, they come in, they sense everything around them and they sense themselves, and then they make a decision. But they're doing everything in the Tao, they're doing everything in the moment, and they're doing everything from within themselves.
I've always have looked at children and to see how I find it always fascinating how they continue to learn and not have those things that hold them back, unless that they've been, because I always believed that, and very much so, there's conditioning. But then there, from having had my own children, well, they also do have their own preset destinations as well, and the way that they perceive things. And I've always found that really quite fascinating, that not only when we actually do take on so much of what we've been fed, and create our own belief systems around that and value systems around that. But I often look at, well, if I didn't know that, if I had that childlike faith, or if I was a complete alien and I had no preconceived perceptions, how would I deal with it? And that's one of the things that I've helped myself and certainly those that I have trained with that. It was really with what you do, I really get it. And the amount of people that I have worked with and that know, I'm going to cover a couple of things here, that a lot of people go, yeah, I know that, yeah, and even myself, and go, I'm on it. I've been aware of it, and I'm always self-regulating, but still, you're still the coffee in the cup. You're not always looking outside. And I have certain techniques that I do, so I try to get outside of that cup at all times. So for not only personally and professionally, but also for business. So I try to constantly push these boundaries. But even so, there'll be some people listening to this and they'll go, oh, it's still a bit woo-woo. it's still a bit fluffy. And I've even been that type of person, even though I've been attracted and using it since very young age, since probably about 8. And I really want the listeners here to really stop some of the mindset and the self-talk, and just lower some of those walls and let some of this information in that Martina's bringing you, because there's a lot of power and empowerment that Martina can give you. And I'm going to give you, if it's okay, because it's going to take just a couple of minutes, but I want to give you a personal story, listeners. So this will help give you segue into some further talk that Martina's going to give you. And a personal story is that, like, about a year and a half ago, my mother died. And even with me being aware of this, with my elder sister who was a hippie and in one of those spiritual sects that she was with, and my other sister knows about this sort of stuff as well. My brother, not at all. We've all had our different experiences with energy healings and those sorts of things. When we were all meeting to go to Mum just before she passed, we were all had to drop everything, fly in and meet each other. I started having this a massive amount of pain at my lower back and slightly on my left, but lower back, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And it was to the point that by the time, so 2 hours later, I could almost barely walk. And I was just trying to stretch out my lower back, waiting for my elder sister, meeting her in the car in the airport, and to get in. And then she was limping. And I looked at her and I saw her hand go to her lower back on her left. And I said, "Have you got pain in your lower back?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "On your left side?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Did you have that a couple of hours ago?" She said, "No." And I went, "Interesting." And, blah, 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 blah. We're talking all the rest. And I started looking up, okay, quick, Louise Hay, because that's the only thing that I could remember back in the day. What does lower pain left back mean? And it said root chakra and everything to do with your roots. And I thought, okay, fair enough. That's our mum, as our roots, our upbringing, a lot of our belief systems. I go into the hospital, and my other sister was there, and she was rubbing her lower back. And I said, "Have you got lower back on your left?" And she said, "Yeah." And then my brother walked through the door, and I said, before he even said or did anything, I said, "Have you got lower back, but on your left?" And it was interesting that we all he had, yes, we all had it on the left. Now, I don't know what left means, but it was like, oh my gosh. And I've got this massive lump come up. And it was like, and it did not go until Mum had passed, and it was a day or two later. And so then I thought, okay, I'm going to revisit some chakra meditation things, because I hadn't done that for a long time. And the amount of pain in my root chakra, and the pain stayed with me for a couple of months, but slowly after my dealing with it all went. And it was just amazing that it manifests itself in a physical way with all 4 of us, without us, none of us even talking. So I really say to you people, don't just pass this all off as foo-foo. There's something more to it, and everyone's an individual. So Martina, take it away about this whole chakra balancing and the impact that it can actually really have in our lives.
Absolutely, because we have shared DNA. You came into a family system and you shared that DNA. And now your mom is about to make a transition. You're going to feel that. You have your children. You know when because you have shared DNA that's physically shared and it's spiritually shared. So I'm not at all, thank you so much for sharing, because I'm not at all surprised to hear that. And so many people, I'm sure, when you're able to sense yourself, which is why we need our chakras to be open to sense. And we sense the physical and the spiritual, then we sense what's going on within us and in our shared DNA. And the chakras are invaluable. It's crucial that we have them open and that they are working for us. And each of them, they all work together, and each of them has a specific role and a specific job. And I'm very happy to give a gift to your listeners. If they wish, you can share the link, and I offer a weekly meditation where I go in and I give you the opportunity to unlock them, to unblock them, and you can open them for yourselves, because we need to feel, we need to sense ourselves from that state of balance. So that's a gift to you if you wish. And I always say to my clients, if you don't believe, it's okay, because I didn't believe. I was extremely scientific and I didn't believe. And in fact, it was very difficult for me because I wanted the end result, but I really wanted my brain to understand. I wanted X and Y to have a formula, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And I wanted every experience to be the same, and it doesn't. So when I started my personal journey, I found it very frustrating because I wanted somebody to give me the science behind it. I wanted to give me the logic. I wanted this part of my brain to really understand and to know. And it doesn't. It goes beyond logic. It's energy, it's life, it's the vibrancy, it's nature, it's the universe. And we're all interconnected. And the minute I shut myself, I disconnect myself from everyone and everything. And I'm out of harmony when that happens. And when everything is open and flowing, I'm in harmony. So I want to be open and flowing because as an entrepreneur, I want to attract into my life. I want the opportunity. And I want people, when they meet me, to meet me. So I need to be open and available, and I need to be pristine and clear and clean. Now, my crown, for example, needs to be open so that I am connected to life outside of me. My third eye needs to be open and balanced so that I can make decisions for me. It's like my navigation system. I want to know to make a left when it's time to make a left, to make a right when I need to make a right. If I'm not making that decision for myself, then I'm actually giving my power away, which we know is extremely dangerous. We can't have that as entrepreneurs. I need to know what's happening in every area of my business. My throat chakra is about communication. Communication is verbal. There's so much miscommunication and verbal, but communication is also in actions. It's in non-actions. It is in expressions. So communication happens in several levels. If I'm not able to express my thoughts, my wishes, my desires, if I say yes when I want to say no, sometimes you'll see people doing that. They'll say, yes, I'll meet you. And they're shaking their head left to right. Their throat chakra is in a crisis. Or they're saying, no. And they're nodding yes. I see that a lot. People don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah.
Then we have the heart. The heart chakra is that connection to others, that sense from within us. It's the sense of love of self, love of others. If I have an imbalance in here, for example, I might end up giving away something, not being able to quote the right amount. I might end up overpaying. I might end up hiring somebody for a job that they don't even want to do because I connect to them on the heart. I feel the need to help them, but there's an imbalance within me. Then I have my solar plexus, the bottom of my ribs. This is my worth within myself. How do I value me? Am I able to send out my thought and hold it and anchor it for me? Then I have my hara, which is by my belly button. This is my chi, my life force energy. This is the chakra that's working a lot right now because it's connected to our immune system. But this is the one that sustains us, because if I'm not able to keep my chi at a steady pace, then I'm going to be bottoming out in the middle of the day. I'm going to be bottoming out in the middle of a contract. I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be getting up and going to do something and then coming home and getting straight into bed because I've lost my life in my business. And then I have my root chakra, which is also my sense of safety within myself. This is the chakra that right before lockdown went into such a crisis that we all bought toilet paper for the rest of the year, or maybe for the
What that was? I did not. Why toilet paper?
Because it's the root chakra. It's about safety. Am I going to feel safe? Am I going to be secure? If you know, when we don't feel safe, our root chakra shuts and we go out of our body. Sometimes we leave our body. Sometimes if we go to a meeting, we have to present ourselves. We want everything to be open and flowing. We want everything in our aura to connect. When I meet somebody, whether it's today on Zoom or in person, the first thing you encounter is my energy. Yes. If I show up with anger, if I show up with fear, if I show up with resentment, with negativity, you may not say, oh, I interviewed somebody today and they had quite an imbalance in their chakras, and they were angry and they came across, quite fearful. You're probably not going to say that when you get home and you're cooking dinner, with your partner, but you're going to say, they just didn't have the right vibe. I'm going to do some more interviews. Mm. But you really are analyzing their energy. When I go on a date or when I go on an interview, the minute that the chakras come together, they start communicating and conversing. Now, before we go to present ourselves, we spend more time putting on makeup if we're women, putting on the right clothes, the right shoes. But the first impression is in our energy structure. Yes. The first impression is when our auras come together. And we have, and science has proven this, we have less than 3 minutes to engage. We make a decision on a first date, on a first interview, in a first business opportunity, on energy. Yes. Not on what belt I wear or what shade lipstick. It might enhance that, but if the foundation of the energy is not there, it won't matter whether I wore the brown belt or the blue belt or the black belt or the 3-inch or the 4-inch heel or the lighter pink or the heavier pink, because the energy has made a connection or it's moved away, it's disconnected. We're always bringing positivity, we're coming together, or we're repelling away negativity. And sometimes we say that, I don't know, I just get a feeling, I can't explain it, but I don't want to sit next to this person. I don't want to sit next to that person. We're talking about energy. We're communicating on an energetic level so much more than we realize.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I still remember I really enjoyed science back in year 10. And that's when it was first talked about to me about all the atoms and energy fields and things like that with plants and with humans and all that. I still, every time I think about it, I go all the way back. And the fact is that science does know about this. It's not food.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a heck of a lot of information and science that is involved with it. And it's really quite fascinating. And that these days there are metric systems involved with how to pick that up with different people, and it's quite fascinating, and how then it works in with our different types of communication, non-verbal, tonality, intent, and then our words. So it's yes, I get it. I really think that, wow, this is an extra tool for us, for our toolkit as entrepreneurs. And there'll be other people listening to this and they'll go, yeah, of course. Hello, people, come on. But then it's, well, how are we showing up to help encourage to others? That's the most important thing.
Yes, because positivity attracts positivity, like attracts like.
Absolutely.
And I want to be in the flow. I want to be in the flow in all areas of my life. And when I'm in the flow and I'm able to move in all areas of my life, then I can have mastery. I can have self-mastery. If not, I'm stuck. I have stagnation. So it's very easy for us if we observe ourselves. We have to want to observe ourselves. And that's what I always find makes the difference. Because some people choose not to observe and they keep running. And more choose to be a little bit smarter, to observe themselves. And then this gives them the edge. It gives them the cutting edge to be on top, to stay on top, and to have what is truly needed for success, which is continuous flow, sustainable flow.
Nice, nice. You know, there's also not just the running thing. There'll be people like myself who get so stubborn. I'm going to make it work. And then are we really allowing the flow when we're getting stubborn? We're getting so obsessive with what we want to achieve, especially if you're a visionary and it's like, come on, and you're so used to getting people to come this way, and then if you, after a while you stand back and you go, well, wait, where's everyone? It's just me. I've done it again. So for, say, people that getting out of the way of themselves, and mentioned that a little bit earlier, how could people, what would be some of your tips for them for that?
Well, that's where we have to go within. And when we can go within and we can do, the metaphysical process of emptying the cup and letting go, then we can stay in that continuous flow. It's when we hold and then we stop the flow because we shut, we contract everything, we bring everything in, and then there's nothing there. And then it stops, the flow stops. And then that's when we get determined, because we're fighting with ourselves in a way. So we got to do that process. That's why mindfulness, centeredness, balancing, going within, clearing out, opening each of the chakras and just letting it all go. That's why breathing techniques are so powerful. Yes. That's why simple moving exercises are so powerful, because it just lets everything release and relax. And we have to release. We have to release. Change is always going to happen. We have to let go. We have to be open to embrace. For sure, 2020 has taught us this over and over and over again.
And over again, yes. And it's like, if you still haven't learned, let's do it again.
Let me show you another way.
It's like, okay. And even that, it's trying to teach us on a collective way too.
Absolutely.
Globally and collective. And
absolutely.
Unfortunately, there's some awful things that have happened, but on the same token, it's been a beautiful blessing in the fact that we are becoming we are being forced to be a whole lot more globally collective with what we do. We are human beings. We are very similar.
And we're being forced as well to disconnect from what isn't needed.
Yes.
What isn't necessary. So I noticed that, and I hear that a lot from my clients, is that like a lot of habits have been broken, and people are really impressed that they never thought, here we're very social, we go out a lot, we go to the pub a lot, and that all got taken away, and now it's okay, because we're able to do it in a different way, we're able to communicate, we're able to express. It's a good it's a breaking of a good habit in a way.
Yeah. I always think that a lot of things are meant to be. I mean, there's a lot of horrible things that can happen out there in the world too. But I think that we always, and I suppose again, as entrepreneurs, we do tend to look for silver linings anyway. Absolutely. And good lessons, and how can we take away the best, what's meant to be out of that message,
and take the positive out of the opportunity, and keep turning it into a positive. That's what I think we're always doing, and that's what keeps the momentum and keeps us always in that forward motion, which is very crucial, because we're always taking the positive, moving it forward, taking it, and that keeps our system in progression, in movement.
Yes, because and people get it, but that there is a heck of a lot of energy needed for that, and therefore, if you're really, you're being a leader, So you've got to be a really good self-leader first before you can lead others, lead your clients, lead customers, as well as some of your colleagues and ideas. So you're a battery. So then we need to recharge our batteries a lot, which is what you teach us. And
absolutely, and that's where it's key that you're, you know, because you can't show up if your aura is showing stress and tension and fatigue and burden. You can't show up and say, I'm available, because you're going to contradict yourself. And people will feel that. They'll feel that. They'll say, I'm not sure. They'll hesitate because we present that in our field. So we want to remove that. We want to release that all the time so that we show up 100% present and in correct alignment with ourselves.
Do you know, you made me also just think then, when a lot of people say, oh, I just feel uncomfortable with this whole camera thing and that, when I've also helped people with presentations and things like that, and certainly in the physical sense, by the time I get them to get their real, who they are, their real energy going, they're usually quite fine at doing public speaking. And I find it's the same thing with this whole camera thing.
Yeah.
and presenting. It's just a slightly different type of energy.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing that's very interesting is that I have clients and they're consistent, and some of my clients are consistently late. So if I want them to come to a 2:15 appointment, I tell them to come at 2. If I want them to come at 2, I tell them to come at 1:45, and they show up 15 minutes late consistently. You know what I discovered on Zoom? Even though they're at home, they still come late.
Yes, patterns. Yes.
So the people who are going to speak and push to overcome that public speaking will do the same thing with the little green button.
Well, you know what though, in a body clock, I used to be shocking with it, absolutely shocking with it. And I'm a whole lot better, but it's still like, I question, it's more, I think it's the reason why I've become better with time management is because of habits and systems, and not so much body clock. And I know my younger son is on the spectrum, and so it's a very typical thing with people on the spectrum, but his whole body clock is shocking too. So I think that he definitely gets it from me. So, and I've noticed that again, entrepreneurs are not so great with it. So what would be a tip or advice that you could give us with helping to get our body clocks working better, let alone the whole mental part about time management and clocks? But what if it's that physical thing too?
Yeah, it's about the sense of presence within yourself. So the more present we are within ourselves, the more aware we are of everything around us, including time and space. And when we are present within ourselves, then we will notice we'll show up at the right time. We'll notice the time. We'll plan the time. We'll plan to be there at the time. So becoming more present, bringing yourself more inside of yourself, keeping yourself inside of yourself. And that can be very challenging for entrepreneurs, because we have to work in the future and in the past, and we have to juggle several things. And sometimes we're pulling things and we're gluing things together as we're doing it, right?
Yes.
And then we're working solo. So we have to be really juggling. So, but you can do it. It is very doable. And that's where, again, mindfulness and taking that, 5 to 7 minutes a day, where you're just really centering yourself and you're letting your body experience that and anchoring it for you, so that, yes, maybe different things will go in different directions during the day, but you've brought yourself into that alignment. And that 5 becomes 7 minutes, and the 7 becomes 15, and all of a sudden you're doing it for 30 minutes a day. And then gradually, over a short period of time, you start to readjust.
So you're saying a good suggestion is to aim for 30 minutes a day? When
clients come to me, I tell them just do 5. Just do 5. And then as they do 5, it increases and it increases. And they end up wanting to do more. Because if I say 30, they're going to fight me. If I say 5, everybody can give 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it increases.
Yeah. There's another thing I wanted to ask you that made me think of a question as far as meditation. I'll come back to that in a moment. So I'm just making myself a quick note. And techniques around that. But you also mentioned probably about 5 or 10 minutes ago, probably more 10 minutes ago, as far as giving away energy. And I find that's a really big thing. And you did say that with entrepreneurs, is giving away energy. And my first career, and I did it for quite some time, so I used to be a hairdresser. And I always used to say, to be really good, it's not about doing hair, it's about really getting to know the person and to working with the person. So you really get into their mind space and you find out everything. So it's very much around psychology. And I used to also find, though, people come to you and they want to be healed for a lot of things. They want to feel good when they go away. And I often used to refer to myself as a piece of plastic. Oh my gosh, you know, what is that thing that we used to work with back in the 70s and 80s? Plasticine. There you go, plasticine. If you say that to kids these days, they go, what the heck is that? A bit like clay, people, if you're listening. Plasticine. Clay modeling. I always felt like I always had to do that. Every 15 to 30 minutes I had to be a new model all the time, constantly mold, and it would get extremely exhausted. And I found then I was giving love and energy over more and more and more and more. And then after many years, I was like, I'm spent. I am so spent. I don't want to give I don't want to be nice anymore. And which is really sad. And it is quite common, apparently. So how can we not give away too much that we need to hang on to, yet still rejuvenate and deal with this whole thing?
Totally heart chakra. It's the love of self and the love of others. So the more that I take care of myself, the more that I know how to nurture and how to love from within me, not demanding it from somebody else. Because when we think about love, we always think about that person loving me. But in order for me to find somebody who wants to love me, I have to love me. And then they see the beauty within that and the desire to be with it. When I serve people, which is what hairdressers do and all service industry does, I have to love myself and then share that sensation of nurturing and loving, but not give mine. And what we tend to do is we have an imbalance in the heart chakra, is we give everything, then we're exhausted. We don't take care of ourselves. And then there's an imbalance. And there's always an imbalance around money with that comes with that as well. And then people get very resentful, they get very exhausted, they burn out, they get very tired. I see that over and over and over in so many industries, so many, because people do it, employees and employers, you know, not even in a service, but in a top-down industries as well. And it's complete exhaustion. So we have to find that. And when we consistently do that, we have to do that for ourselves on a daily basis. And when we do that and we get the right flow of that, then we never get tired, because we love ourselves. We're doing what we love from a place of serving and serving others with love. But there's a flow and a balance.
Do you know, though, there's a lot of people that find that very difficult. And even though I know that, and I've
it's
heard
an art.
that,
It's an art.
it is. You know, it depends on how we've been brought up and then our belief systems that we buy into. So how can we continually chip away at that and work at that? How do we hone that art?
Yeah, and now it's something that we've all been forced to do in lockdown as well, because we've had to live by ourselves, you know, for several months. We've been home alone, and we have had to go in and we've had to do things for us. So you have to find something that you like, that you are passionate about. For some people, it's going to be hobby. For more, it's going to be reading. For more, it's going to be, getting up in the morning and having that time to center and balance you, and having that morning tea before anybody else in your household gets up, giving yourself that space, whatever it might be. It might be a hot bath, it might be a perfume that you wear, it might be a craft that you do. You've got to find it's unique for every person, and it fills that void, and it makes you feel loved, cared, nurtured from within. For you doing it for yourself, that's the key. I need to do it for me.
Nice. Do you know, though, maybe it's still around the belief systems, and even though I know that, and I've been implementing that more and more and more, I was just recently put to a challenge to have to do a video clip by one of my mentors, and it was using the song I Love Me. And because I really had to live in that energy of lip syncing to this, I still found it really challenging. And I thought, oh my gosh, I still haven't cracked the ruddy pot that I was set in. It's like, and eventually I got there, and I found just having to physically and play that music over and over and over and over in a day.
So now, you can do that every day for yourself. You can shower to that in the morning. You can dance to that in the morning.
Okay. I wondered whether should I continue, and how should I continue along this path? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So there's maybe people that are listening to that, and you find that it's okay talking about it, but it's the doing. If you're a kinesthetic person, you've really got to do it. Then do it over and over, like until it drives you nutty. Keep doing it. Keep going.
And do it by yourself. Do it by yourself, so you don't have to worry.
And that's what I found I still had to do.
And then one day you'll find yourself on stage doing it. Or on Zoom doing it.
Settle. Well, this is the thing, because I had to do that, and I know that it's going out to many people, and I'm like, okay, this is like, it was like opening up and bearing a bit of my soul.
It's exposing, yes.
That can be scary. But isn't it fascinating? We all, as typically as entrepreneurs, we like this dance that we have with vulnerability.
Yes.
Crazy, isn't it?
And it's good because as we're doing this, we're doing it in all areas of our life. That's the most beautiful thing. We're doing it, maybe that push to do it for my business, for this project, but then I'm doing it for me too. So then that helps me to show up for my loved ones, my partner, my kids, all areas of my life.
Absolutely. And this is why I did this podcast, and that it's prosper, because it's to prosper in all facets of your life, because it's all interconnected. The thing that I wanted to also ask you to come back to with meditation, I often, and I used to go through this myself, and I'm starting to get on top of it, 20, 30 years later, but anyway. And I did stop for a long time, not meditating. A lot of people would say, oh, but when I meditate, how do I know if I'm doing it correctly? And two, I fall asleep. What would be some of your tips?
Well, in the beginning, when people start to meditate, they start to relax their body, and the body associates that with, it's time for me to sleep. And then if we that's why I tell my clients, start in the morning, because you wake up and your body has had sleep, and you take, 5 minutes to just quieten your mind and use breathing techniques. And again, I'll give you and your guests the opportunity to come onto my weekly meditation system, and you're most welcome. And I'll guide you through that, and it's 30 minutes. And then you can take that and you can replay it for yourself every day. And it's very simple. I do multiple different styles, because meditating is like eating. You can't eat the same thing every day. Even your favorite gourmet food, after several days, you're going to say to me, Martina, can I eat something else? Yes. Even though it's your favorite meal. So you want to have variety, you want to have choice. So I like to teach different varieties, and then use what works for you. Use what style works. And the key to meditation is that you do it consistently and you choose the time that's right for you. For some people, it's the morning. For some people do it at lunchtime. Some people do it right after work. Some people do it right before they go to sleep. And if you relax before you go to sleep, it's amazing how much you're going to sleep better and how your body will actually rest more. And then it's okay to fall asleep.
Yes, yes. Love that. Love all of those tips and all of that lovely information that you've given us. I'm pretty sure that we've covered mostly everything that you do offer and talk about. Stress release, or stress relief, should I say, and
Yes.
metaphysics. Maybe most people will understand stress relief. How about the metaphysics? Do you want to just explain a little bit of what that is?
Well, it's as complicated as you want it to be, and it's as simple as this: as within, so without. So whatever is happening inside is how it's going to go out into your life. So if you want that all perfect business, then it starts with you. It starts with your centeredness. So as within, so without. We look at the outside, but we don't think to look inside. So when somebody comes to me and they tell me about all the people that are in their life and all the problems that are in their life, then I go in and I help them, I hold them, take them by the hand, and I coach them to go within, and we resolve that. And then all those people become amazing people. And all those problems just go away, because it's the concept of basic metaphysics: as within, so without.
Yeah, nice. It's that reflection thing. I like that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice way to end, really. Then with moving forward, what's on the horizon for you into 2021?
Well, now that I've gone online, I'm going to stay online. So I'll be offering my coaching online, some of my trainings will be online, and my sessions will be, several of them will be online, and my weekly meditations, and I'll be continuing those. And all going well, I'll be doing some of the advanced trainings in person again. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to possibly having a holiday in 2021, because that's been one of the things in 2020 we thought we would, and then it got postponed, and it got postponed again, and now it'll be in 2021.
And people were saying, "Oh, we've pivot." And I'm like, "I'm pirouetting. What are you talking about?" And then towards the end of the year, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going all over the place." It's just this change, a lot of change this year, which is
lots of change, lots of opportunities.
Yes.
We've advanced in so many things.
Yes.
I can see that. I'm very grateful that I went online. That I used to do an event, and it was always registration was closed when we got to this number, and now we're on a platform online, and some weeks I have 60 people, some weeks I have 100 people, some weeks I have 11 people. And we don't have this craziness of chairs anymore and how it's going to be laid out. And I'm so happy that's all gone. And that's never coming back, because I'm going to keep it online.
Nice. Yes, exactly. It's so much easier. The infinite game.
Yes, definitely.
So before we sign off, so your offers has been, let's just recap what your offers are for the listeners.
Absolutely. So anybody that has any questions or any, because this is personal for us, I am very happy to do a consultation where they can have an evaluation of their chakras. And you can just go to my website. If you want to put in the link, you're most welcome, advancedspiritualinstitute.com. And my personal email is martinacoogan@outlook.com. And you can just drop me an email and tell me your story, and I'll help you. I'll help start you to unravel that mystery, because that's what I love to do, and that's my specialty. And then as a gift to you and your listeners, you're most welcome to come on my weekly meditation. And you can just link into that. You can come on Zoom. It'll be on Zoom. It's every Wednesday evening, UK time at 6:30, which I believe will be 7:30 for you.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
And you could come on and start your day off with a nice relaxing meditation, with breathing techniques, with moving techniques. I vary it every week.
Nice, nice. I do like variations myself, yes. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're
So is there
so
any last
welcome.
minute things you might want to say to the listeners?
Stay well, stay balanced, stay strong.
Nice. I love that. Look, I thank you so much for sharing your pearls of wisdoms and your advice and tips and your gifts. Really, really thank you for
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much for inviting me as your guest.
Pleasure. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.